is a Thursday. We're skipping the intro again because, Josh, if I would have told you last week on Championship Rings that the Eastern Conference Finals looks like it could be Pacers Knicks? What? So let's get into our team first. Let's start. So I know what you're going to say. Oh, you told me about the Pacers. You told me they were going to be a better challenge, yada, yada, yada.
I want to bang my head against a wall. Ow!
Okay. I
want to bang my head against a wall. You are the number one seed. 3 separate winning streaks of double digits. You win 64 games. You have the coach of the year in Kenny Atkinson. And I get it. 3 of your 14 losses were at home, were against the same Indiana Pacers team. But you are
two of them didn't count at the end of the regular season. Don't use that. We didn't play our guys at the end of the regular season.
Doesn't matter. We lost 3 out of 4 against them.
We didn't play any of our guys. They said on the broadcast.
They literally
say they don't give a crap on the broadcast. Josh, what the fuck do you mean?
I don't give a shit. We lost 3 out of 4 against them, whether you like it or not.
Playing fucking what's his face? Tyson.
Who should be getting minutes over a Coro in this series. What the hell?
But nonetheless, go on. Make your point. Make your point.
So, I get it. We lost 3 out of 4 against them. But how? You are at home. How do you lose against them? How? You're up 7 with 1:56 left and you blow it? Now, the NBA came out with its stupid 2-minute report and said, oh, the Tyrese Halliburton 3-pointer shouldn't have counted. Guess what? Doesn't matter now. It doesn't. And I'm sorry, but I know the Cavaliers have come back from down 3-1 to defeat the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals, but that's mostly because the NBA gave us a stimulus package by suspending Draymond Green in Game 5.
What are you talking about? They gave us a stimulus package. He had 7 technicals. He was automatically suspended.
The NBA
what are you talking about? They gave us a stimulus package. Draymond did it to himself. They didn't gift us that. Stop it.
Anyway, I don't know if we can go into Indiana and win these 2 games. I don't know. I hate to say it, but I'm worried this series is already over. I'm genuinely
I'm not even going to start with Game 2. I'm going to start with Game 1 because I'm going to tell you what really happened when it comes to this series. I'm going to tell you why the Indiana Pacers are in this situation. Because if you look really hard at the last 2 years of the Indiana Pacers being in the postseason, last year they went through a Milwaukee Bucks team and they did not have to play Giannis Antetokounmpo at all. And Damian Lillard took Milwaukee to 6 games in that series, and Indiana did what they did. Then, in the second round series against the Knicks, they are down 3-2 going into Game 6. They win in Indiana. It gets to a Game 7, and the Knicks, well, Jalen Brunson breaks his hand in the second half. They don't have Julius Randle. They don't have any of the Villanova guys. And Indiana basically cakewalks through that game to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they subsequently get swept by the Boston Celtics. This year, then, in the first round, they beat a Milwaukee team without Damian Lillard. They go into this Game 1 against the Cavs, where Indiana was so different stylistically than the Miami Heat. It just took the Cavs for a little bit of a show shock, and Nembhard and Nesmith could not miss a damn shot. And when Andrew Nembhard and Nesmith are playing the best game of their lives, and they don't miss a free, and they outscore the Cavs from 33 points from the 3-point line because the Cavs could not buy a bucket. That's why the Cavs lost Game 1, yet despite all their struggles, they were in the lead in the fourth quarter. Now, we get to Tuesday night. Obviously, no Evan Mobley, and I saw it when it happened live in Game 1, and I don't care what the NBA says. I did not think that was a foul on Miles Turner. He stepped on his foot. It's an accident. It's whatever. but you're already without Garland. You don't have Mobley. DeAndre Hunter's got a dislocated thumb. That is arguably two of your three best players and arguably maybe your fourth or fifth best player on the team that you don't have. So Donovan Mitchell comes out. He puts up 48 points. Max Strus gives you 20 points. He's playing excellent. But obviously we can talk about the ending sequence and what happened and the Max Strus turnover and all that. One of the reasons why the Cavs lost this game, and yes, they lost it because they didn't box out and they allowed a three-pointer and Tyrese Haliburton beat them with a buzzer, but they needed more contributions from guys like Jared Allen, from guys like Ty Jerome, who went 1 of 13 from the field. When you don't have Garland, you don't have Mobley, and you don't have Hunter, and you're at home and you play like that in the first quarter, you have to get that home. To me, it's not like the Pacers have significantly outplayed the Cavs in this series. They've been better in clutch moments down the stretch, and that was an uncharacteristically unbelievable made shot by Haliburton, who was not good in the game up to that point. And while Indiana stole 2 games here, in my opinion, and they went up 2-0, Indiana's got to close this deal. Now, they can. It really depends on, in my opinion, what you're going to get out of Mobley, Garland, Hunter, if any of them do play. It sounds like they're all going to be game time decisions tomorrow. But to sit here and say that this series is absolutely over, I don't think it's true.
So, remember last week you put the idea out there to me that maybe we should trade Darius Garland?
I did, and a lot of people after Tuesday night were texting me about it, saying how much of an idiot I am. And let me just say this. We did not lose game 2 because Darius Garland was not on the court. And by the way, for those of you that are crying that, oh my God, that foul on Donovan Mitchell should not have been a foul and Tyrese Haliburton should have been not shooting free throws in the first place, it's loser mentality. The Cavs lost that game because they did not box out and they allowed Tyrese Haliburton to shoot a 3, which you do not allow in that situation. Worst case scenario, you intentionally foul him, you force him to make both free throws, and you go to overtime. You cannot allow a 3-point shot in that situation. But to your point about my take last week, no, I don't believe if we had Darius Garland that we would have got that game home Tuesday night because the collapse happened because nobody else was making shots. It had nothing to do with who wasn't on the court. I actually think losing Mobley's size going up against Turner and Siakam is a better detriment to this team than Garland right now.
So, by
the way, if Ty Jerome just makes one of his shots, we're having a different conversation.
After these 2 games against the Pacers, I'm sorry, but I definitively disagree with you about trading Darius Garland now. The Pacers' backcourt of Haliburton and Nembhard has completely outplayed the Cavs.
Well, they completely outplayed Mitchell and Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome has not shown up in this series, which is the biggest surprise because he was the 6th man of the year. Donovan Mitchell almost single-handedly beat the Pacers by himself Tuesday night. And again, it's not like the Pacers have dominated the Cavs. The Cavs came back after game 1 where they played like shit and they had the lead with 4 minutes left.
If we had Darius Garland, I'm not saying Darius Garland is the ultimate difference maker, don't get me wrong. But Donovan Mitchell needs somebody.
Well, he needs another shot creator, which is what Ty Jerome is. The problem is Jerome's not making his buckets. I actually think the bigger loss here, like I said, I think Hunter, that production you're missing from him is huge. And Mobley's size, when you don't have him, and it's just soft-ass Jared Allen who's rolling around like he's playing Pokemon again in the backyard. When you have those 2 guys pretty much missing against Turner and Siakam, you're going to be dominated on the boards. And the Cavs have also uncharacteristically in these 2 games in the fourth quarter, like they did in the fourth quarter of game 2 against Miami, have gone completely cold and have missed every shot.
We were up 20 in game 2. If you're truly a championship contender, you put away a team like Indiana. You don't allow them to continue to hang around.
Well, again, in fairness, we're not at full strength. That's the difference between us and what the Knicks are doing to Boston. We are not at full strength.
That part is true, yes. But the Pacers are showing that last year was not a fluke for them.
Well, are they? Again, how good are they really? They haven't played a full team in 2 years.
I believe they're showing.
Do you really believe right now on all these teams, the Indiana Pacers have any legit shot at winning the NBA championship?
Of all the teams in both the East and the West?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Do you honestly believe the Pacers can win the championship? A simple yes or a simple no will suffice, Mr. Ungar. The fact that you have to think about it tells me they're not a legit team.
If they beat the Cavs, then yes.
Well, again, are they going to beat the Cavs with no Evan Mobley, no Darius Garland, and no DeAndre Hunter? Because that's a different story than beat the Cavs at full strength.
That part I agree with you. Here's my thing. If the Cavs lose this series, this season is a complete and total failure. I don't care that they had 3 separate winning streaks of 10-plus games. I don't care that they won 64 games.
Well, again, it depends on who we get. If we don't have any of our guys, then it's just injuries. I mean, it's what happened to the Knicks last year.
I'm calling this season a failure if we lose this series. Sorry, but I am.
Listen, I understand that mentality, and I respect that, because all these guys that are out here, well, you know, if they made this call and they made this call, that's loser mentality.
I'm not blaming the refs at all.
That's what I'm saying. I admire you for saying, well, and no matter what I'm saying is I will give them a little bit of a pass, because Donovan Mitchell right now is playing essentially, in my mind, 1-on-5 or at the least 2-on-5.
And again, I'm sorry, but Okoro is giving you nothing.
No, I actually disagree with that. He played okay in game 2. He gave you some
3 points.
But it's the Draymond Green effect, Josh. Draymond Green gives you 4 points a game. He's the second most important player on the Warriors.
Oh, don't be comparing Okoro to Draymond
Well,
Green.
aren't they the same? They can't shoot. And listen, I don't love Isaac Okoro. You know that. What I am saying, though,
Please trade him this offseason.
What I am saying, though, is that in game 2, he gave you a couple offensive rebounds. He gave you a couple steals. He gave you those energy plays to extend that lead out to the 20 that you were talking about earlier.
If it were me, I'd take some of Okoro's minutes, and I'm giving them to the rookie Jalen Tyson. I don't care that he's a rookie. I'm throwing him into the fire.
They may have to if they don't have Hunter, Mobley. I would suspect Garland is going to play tomorrow night at the Fieldhouse in Indiana. I would highly doubt,
or this series is done.
Well, I disagree, because I think they need one of the guys. I don't know if they need all 3. Hunter may play. Do. Hunter, to win this game, I don't know. Because here's the thing. Indiana has to show that they can put the Cavs away.
That part I agree with, but they found a way in both game 1 and game 2.
Yeah, but guess what? The Cavs have played like shit, and they've had the opportunity to beat them twice, and they couldn't do it. Indiana significantly outplayed the Cavs, and they've survived by the skin of their teeth.
Welcome to the playoffs.
How about this? In the second round, road teams straight up, they've all been underdogs, are 5-1. Straight up.
Yeah. And right now, I'm nervous that we're not going to get that Titanic Eastern Conference Finals matchup that we all so desperately want. Because I know you want it. I know I want it. We need to see Cavaliers Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Let's talk about your guy, Jason Tatum, who once again came up small, as he always does last night, getting his shit blocked by Mikal Bridges at the buzzer because the Boston Celtics are so analytical. Oh, we're going to shoot all of these threes. Well, you know what, Boston? It doesn't work when you go 25 of 100 in this series from the three-point line. They have missed 75 threes in this series. And the Knicks, who, if you would have told me in these first two games the Knicks would have outshot Boston from three, I would have told you you're on crack. And yet, Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges, who really didn't do anything in game one besides make the 1-3 in overtime and get the steal at the end of the game, have completely, and Karl-Anthony Towns hasn't really done much in this series either. And it's mostly been Jalen Brunson scoring in the fourth quarter and Boston's absolute refusal to go to the basket. And it's Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, brick after brick after brick after brick after brick.
Yep. I hate that people are trying to drive this narrative again of Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. Boston's not the same without either if they don't have both of them.
Well, so because Jason Tatum's supposed to be the better player, and he has failed miserably in these first two games. Jason Tatum is, by you, a top 5 player in the NBA. If you're a top 5 player, Josh, you got to get that home. You can't go, well, what do you go? 13 points, 14 points last night when his team needed him? I mean, Donovan Mitchell scored 48. Who would you? Seriously, let me ask you: between Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum, who do you honestly believe is a better player? Because most people would tell you it's Jason Tatum.
Yep, most people would tell you it is Jason Tatum. What has he been to? Let's see, 2018. Yeah, 2017.
Well, he's been to like 6 straight Eastern Conference Finals.
Yep.
2 NBA Finals, didn't even win MVP. By the way, did not play well in either finals, didn't even win the MVP because Jaylen Brown was more clutch last year. This is an indictment on math. It's an indictment on analytics. Last year, the Celtics, and you said it at the time, Josh, you said, well, they didn't have Jimmy Butler. The Cavs didn't have Donovan Mitchell. Indiana didn't have Tyrese Haliburton. And I just said, well, listen, Boston never got to a game 5 in the NBA playoffs. But now, all of a sudden, if they lose this series, last year looks like a fluke.
Honestly, let me ask you this. Is this series a legacy-defining series for both Tatum and Brown?
Well, it depends on how you feel. If you think Jason Tatum's a top 5 player, then yes, it is. Many people would say Jaylen Brown's a top 10, maybe 15-ish player. I think Jaylen Brown's more towards the 8 or 9. But I will say this. I'm putting more of the blame on Tatum for this series because Jaylen Brown is not 100%. He has not been 100% for the end of the regular season. He's fighting a knee injury, though unlike the Cavs guys, he's actually toughening up and playing through his injury. He has clearly not been the same. But Jason Tatum has been the driver for this Celtics team. He's the one doing most of the ball handling. He's the one bringing the ball up. And yet, again, the Celtics are – and the other thing that's so strange about these comebacks is, again, most of them are obviously happening in the fourth quarter. But they are, one pass and out, one shot and out. They are not even draining the clock of time, which what has allowed the Knicks to make these comebacks. Because I'm sorry – the Knicks are not better than the Boston Celtics. This is why I keep saying, if you want to put any stock into the regular season, the Celtics completely destroyed the Knicks in the 4 games they played. And this series has come down to the fact Boston has not been able to buy 1 bucket in the fourth quarter.
What I'm wondering, though, is New York continues to do this where they don't utilize their bench and they play Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Cat, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, 30-plus minutes. Some of them even 40-plus minutes.
Bridges in game 1 played 50-plus.
That's what I'm saying. Is that going to eventually catch up with them in this series? The lack that they don't have a bench. Like,
It depends on what happens tomorrow night in Game 3, because again, the Knicks have oddly not played well. They have oddly not shot the ball well. I mean, it was just a couple weeks ago they were struggling to get by the Detroit Pistons. And the crazy thing about this series is, Josh, the Knicks are 5-0 on the road in this postseason. They have won those 5 games by a grand total of 10 points. So you tell me, if Malik Beasley doesn't drop that ball in Game 6 against the Pistons, does he rip a free and the Pistons get that thing to Game 7 and maybe they knock off the Knicks? I don't know. This to me feels a little fluky-ish, but I can't deny that if they somehow come out and they bring the energy and they play better than Boston Saturday afternoon, it's over.
So both the Celtics and the Cavaliers are down 0-2 as the series now shifts to New York and Indiana. So who is Game 3 more important to, Cleveland or New York? Or I'm sorry, I messed that up.
Cleveland or Boston?
Cleveland or Boston, yes.
It's more important to the Pacers and the Knicks.
Instead of Cleveland or Boston?
If they go up 3-0, the series is over. If both those teams is 2-1, it's a different series.
Okay. So who is it more important to get that?
It's the same. I think a little more important for New York, or excuse me, it's a little, well, it depends on what the Cavs injury situation is. Because if the Cavs don't have any of those free guys, they're probably done. Though if the Cavs do pull it out tomorrow without Mobley Garland or DeAndre Hunter, the Cavs will win this series. I will say that.
Okay. As of right now, if I had this series going to a Game 7 before it started, I'm hoping I'm right about that, I think. But I don't know. And I did not have New York winning both games in Boston. I still think Boston's going to win this series. It's going to be in 6, though. I don't see it going to a Game 7.
Let's talk about Steph and the Golden State Warriors. So, Minnesota could not miss a shot in that Lakers series. And yet they come out in the first half against Golden State on Tuesday night. Julius Randle cannot buy a bucket. Dante DiVincenzo cannot buy a bucket. Anthony Edwards has 1 point in the first half of Game 1. And the Golden State Warriors run away with it even without Steph Curry. I know they have Jimmy Butler, but that Heat team in 2023 that he literally dragged with into the NBA Finals was a different team with the likes of Caleb Martin and Duncan Robinson and Max Strus and Gabe Vincent, a lot of three-point shooting around him. Golden State doesn't really have that outside of Buddy Hield. Pods is not a great three-point shooter. We know Draymond. Obviously, Looney isn't really that great of a shooter. So if I'm Minnesota tonight, listen, I think outside of Jimmy Butler, they don't have an answer for Anthony Edwards. I thought going into this series that Minnesota's advantage would be the same advantage they had in the Lakers series, which was the height of Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle against the small bigs of Golden State. I think Minnesota needs to come out. They need to dominate tonight, because if Golden State can get this thing even 1-1 back to Golden State and they can win a game in the Chase Center, there is a chance Steph Curry comes back.
You mean Minnesota? Because you said Golden State evens the series up 1-1.
Yeah, what I'm saying, if they go back to the Chase Center 1-1, then it's like, okay, if it's 1-1 and it's tight. Like, I think it needs to be 1-1 and Minnesota needs to dominate tonight. I think that Minnesota needs to win these next 3. I should just say that outright. They need to go back to the Target Center for Game 5, up 3-1. Because if Golden State has a chance, if it's 2-2 to bring Steph Curry back, I think Minnesota's edge in this series is their bigs, the same way it was against the Lakers.
Yeah, I would agree. Although Houston had the advantage with their bigs, and they still ended up.
But Houston's guys were young. Draymond Green was able to body up Sengun.
Jalen Green was an absolute no-show in this series. Holy shit.
Well, he wasn't a complete no-show. He had a good game 2 and a good game 5. The 2 games they pulled Golden State out.
He had a good game 2 because a certain Jimmy Butler wasn't there.
Okay.
There you go.
Fair point. But I admire what Golden State has done because they shouldn't even be in this situation where they're up 1-0. I mean, it's incredible the way they keep reinventing the wheel here. But I think Minnesota is the better team in this series.
You would think so, yeah. It's crazy that either a number 6 seed or a number 7 seed is going to get to the Western Conference final.
But if you think about it, and this is what I think me and you totally missed when we made our playoff predictions. The difference between the number 2 seed Houston Rockets and the number 7 seed Golden State Warriors was what, 2 games?
Yeah. Whereas in the East, it was a lot more spread out.
So it's not really, 7 versus 6. You could make an argument that they could have finished 2 and 3. I was a little bit shocked the way Minnesota took care of the Lakers that quickly in 5, but I was also equally as shocked with how flat they came out in game 1, which is why I think tonight it may not be as bad as what Oklahoma City did to Denver last night, but I think it will be a beatdown tonight.
You would think so, but I'm not going to just dismiss Golden State like that. I can't do it.
I'll say Minnesota in 6. I think they now definitively, and again, I like Jimmy Butler, but I think he's gotten older. I don't know if he can carry a team as the number 1 anymore. I think Minnesota now definitively, without a doubt, by a wide margin, has the best player in the series. And I'll add, if Julius Randle continues to play out of his mind, he could elevate himself into being the second best player in the series the way he was in that Lakers series.
He very well could, yes. He's got to go right at Draymond.
Well, you would think he didn't do anything in game 1. Like, I think Minnesota's strategy tonight will be we're going to trap Jimmy Butler and we're going to let Buddy Hield and whoever else shoot as many shots as they want.
Yeah, because you don't have to deal with Steph running all over the place.
Yeah. So, how about Aaron Gordon at the buzzer in game 1? This I couldn't. It was like the Cavs Pacers game, right? I mean, or the Knicks Celtics even. You're watching it. You're like, hey, Denver's hanging around. And Oklahoma City's gonna probably pull away. And then all of a sudden, with 10 seconds left, Denver subs Nikola Jokic out of the game because he has 5 fouls. They don't want him to foul. And Oklahoma City makes 2 free throws to cut it to 3, but then they foul Aaron Gordon right away. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and he hits the game-winning 3-pointer eventually.
Well, that's after Chet Holmgren missed 2 free throws, and neither team had a timeout. So all of a sudden, here comes who I have always said is the worst player to watch in the history of the NBA, Mr. Russell Westbrook. Did he? And I am losing my mind at midnight, going, no, get the ball up. Don't shoot. Because I thought Russ was going to do something stupid where he runs in the lane, does a turnover, cost Denver the game. He kicks it out to Aaron Gordon, who's not a great 3-point shooter by any means. And he strokes that thing right in the basket. And you want to talk about stealing a game. I can make an argument out of all the road teams that we've seen so far, even Indiana, the way they did it against Cleveland in game 2, the way Denver did that was stealing a game.
It was just like what Aaron Gordon did in that Clippers game.
Yeah. And Denver, I got to tell you something, man. We got to have a discussion about what coaching really means in the NBA. Because the Nuggets head coach's name is Nikola Jokic. It's not Rick Adelman. His name is Nikola Jokic. He's barking out signals. He's telling people what to do. And he seems like he's enjoying it.
It really does. But then in game 2, Oklahoma City said, go away.
Yeah, the weirdest thing about that game last night, did you realize Jokic fouled out in the 3rd quarter?
I didn't get to watch a lot of it because I was actually at a fantastic musical last night, Shucked, at the Playhouse Playhouse Square, excuse me. I highly recommend it, but that's neither here nor there. Maybe I'll write about it for Voltage Live. There you go.
I mean, that game was not even close. It was over 2 minutes in. Everybody said, thank you, God. We've been staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning watching these NBA games for a month. And we finally got a night where we got to go to bed a little bit early. I don't think this series is over, though, yet. I think Denver, I predicted OKC in 7 to start the series. I think Denver. And by the way, Nikola Jokic didn't even have a great game 7 against the Clippers, probably because it was the day of the Kentucky Derby and he was too distracted by watching the Kentucky Derby. But nonetheless, Denver is in this series now, and I think we're probably going to go back to OKC tied 2 apiece. And I think all Denver wants is get this thing to a game 7. Because even though it's going to be on the road, what do I always tell you all the time about game 7? What did we just see the Rockets do in game 7? Young teams fold in big playoff games.
Yeah, and we saw the Thunder do that against the Mavericks last year.
Well, no, that was game 6.
I know, but it's still the same.
No, it's not. Game 6 and game 7 is completely different.
Okay, let me phrase it like this. The concept you're talking about of young teams folding the later a series goes, that's the concept I'm referring to.
Yeah, but so Oklahoma City got a year under their belt, but they didn't experience a game 7 on their home court in their building. All the pressure would be on them.
Again, I agree with you. I'm not trying to say you're wrong. All I'm saying is the idea you're presenting of young teams folding the later a series goes, it makes me think of what happened to them in that Dallas series as it progressed and eventually ended in a game 6. That is all I am saying.
So here's something I will say. Right now, in the world of sports, outside of any on-the-court stuff in the NBA, all anybody wants to talk about is LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Who's the GOAT? Folks, I think in 10 years, we may have to put Nikola Jokic in that conversation. I mean, if you think about it, if Nikola Jokic gets one more championship, and it could be this year, I think you can make a case even with 2 championships, you can put Jokic in the GOAT conversation.
I think if Steph gets another championship, you could put him in that conversation.
Oh, without a doubt. All I'm saying is I think Jokic story is the most unbelievable story in the history of the NBA. The dude was drafted in a Taco Bell commercial. Nobody knows who he is. He's sort of a late bloomer for Denver. He comes out, he just casually dominates, win 2 straight MVPs. The year he doesn't win MVP, he actually wins finals MVP. And he is averaging, 40 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists. And some of these games, that's why they fired Michael Malone. They were losing games that Jokic put up historic numbers nobody has ever seen before.
Didn't they get swept by the Washington Wizards this season?
I don't know that to be a fact, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I think they did.
Listen, I for this series, I know Oklahoma City is skinny as bone, shit Ongram, and I know they have Hardenstein. They don't have.
By the way, I did look it up. Yes, Washington swept the Nuggets this season.
Wow. I don't think Oklahoma City has an answer for Jokic. What Oklahoma City has to do is make sure Jamal Murray, Russell Westbrook, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., who never shows up seemingly, it's like one game a series. They have to make sure that, like, if Jokic scores 40, he can't have 15 rebounds and 12 assists. He's got to have like 45, 5, and 6.
So I can't put Jokic in that GOAT conversation, not when you have the likes of Shaq.
I think Jokic is already better than Shaq.
Not when you...
Without 100%. Jokic's skill is twice as good as Shaq. He's already better than Tim Duncan, if you ask me. He's better than Shaq. He's better than Tim Duncan. Jokic currently
what about
to me...
Hakeem Olajuwon?
He's right there with Hakeem, especially if he wins another championship. He has to win the same amount of championships as Hakeem. But I think you can make a case he's the best big man of all time, right up there with Hakeem, right up there with Bill Russell, certainly.
I don't know if he'll ever pass Bill Russell with what he did on the
court.
Well,
obviously, Bill Russell had 11 championships, but if you want to talk about skill level, oh my! Now, Will Chamberlain's obviously up there. He scored 100 points in a game. But supposedly. Josh, no, not even Victor Wembanyama. I don't even know if he could do what Jokic can do with the assists and the passing. The dude is a walking 7'3" triple-double, and he can't jump off the ground.
It's honestly hilarious.